Hey everybody, what is up? This is Breaking the Cage. I am Michelle Espinosa. Everybody, most people who truly know me call me Bells. But here at the Matrix Minds, Matt calls me Shaman. Look at this big fat fro. I want to say as we get into the show tonight, this is for November 30th through December 6th, I believe. And you see, I'm out on location again. So I want to say first off, for anybody who's new watching the show and never watched the show before, uh, this is kind of where I channel the astrology. I channel what I'm being told by spirit, what I'm getting from spirit to help us move forward through the week and or more than just the week, just in general to help us understand from a deeper perspective. And I'm so thankful, but the show is also now going to be going on iHeartRadio. So if you're new and never heard the show before, welcome. Whether you're on iHeartRadio or just finding us here on the Matrix, either way, welcome. And like I said, if you can see the video, man, yeah, I know. Look at this fro. I was being told, I was feeling, because for those of you who are listening from like the podcast perspective, I'm a white girl with dreads, and I was feeling right before my mother passed away earlier this month that I needed to change them, and I wanted green. So I'm doing the big fro for a hot minute before I braid them down into the dreads. But like I said, I'm out on location again. I'm going to show you where I'm at for those of you who can watch the video, and then we're going to get into this. But this is one of my favorite places, and I haven't been here probably for like a year and a half with everything that was going on with mom and her dementia and everything. There was just no time for me to get here, but there's a little creek down there, and then there's a little bit of a cave to get up in there. This is one of my favorite places. But anyway, let me switch hands here. This week, oh man, oh man, oh man. I really don't have a good feeling about it. I've tried to come out here and be the most positive I can, give the best aspects and best personality, uplifting idea. But this Mercury retrograde, I'm just not feeling really good about. And it has to do with the fact that it's in Sagittarius. It's the moon is going to be here. Okay. For those of you who know, I pre-record the show, and this is Black Friday when I'm doing the video, because it's not actually going to go live for 2 more days on the 30th. But this is Black Friday, and just the way things have been going down. Hold on. Do you need to come up here, honey? Come on by. I ain't trying to stop you. It is free world. Okay. But it's Black Friday, so we just had Thanksgiving. We're going to have the new moon in Sagittarius. So that's the sun, the moon, and Mercury, all in Sagittarius on the 30th. Then we're going towards the full moon on December 15th. We're in Mercury retrograde. That full moon on the 15th is going to be in Gemini. And I was saying last week that this is a lot like a Jekyll and Hyde Mercury retrograde. And that's because it's not just that it's Mercury retrograde, it's the sun, the moon, all coming together in between. I mean, right after the new moon, you've got so much energy of that universal ninth house hitting us all. And the universal ninth house ultimately is ego versus soulfulness. I mean, it's your ethics, your morals, your higher understanding, or your lower understanding, 3-dimensional, or the possibility of mindfully rising into higher dimensional energies. And It's kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde retrograde. It's digging deep into attachments, into ego, into what we communicate with, what we see. But what I'm really getting for this week is the fact that Venus is going to be coming to 29 degrees, as well as the sun and Mercury are going to be crossing each other right after that new moon. And this is just illuminating everything with a punch to the gut for anybody who's not fully ready to come to terms with any part of their spirituality. And last week I was saying, how secure is your temple? How secure are you from within? This is your temple, your body. You can't leave your body. I mean, some of us know how to spiritually move on and come back and journey, but I mean, ultimately, you're still going to be in this vessel. So, how secure is your temple? How secure is that fortress that is you versus bruised ego and wisdom? And do you know the difference? See, I personally, I want to call this energy that we're going through, or what I'm talking about here is, when I do these videos, I do these videos because I'm doing them for the underdog. I'm doing them for those who are learning how to come into their path, not those who are on it, feel comfortable, and don't really need me. I've said from the beginning, if I'm doing my job right, I'm helping you along your path, not a leader. I am helping you along your path, walking beside you. And if I'm doing my job right, I'm teaching you not to need me. But we have so much of the underdog going on versus what I got from a friend of mine who used to call me muchier. And I'm saying it's the underdog in you versus the muchierness. Uh, it came from Alice in Wonderland, and one of the movies of Alice in Wonderland. And the Mad Hatter was talking to Alice and was like, when she came back to Wonderland and she was an adult, or at least a teenager, vice versa. And the Mad Hatter's like, but you was just so much more muchier. And that's what we got to get back to, that true depth of your muchierness. But understanding where that is wisdom of your divine energy of knowing who you are versus are you in a muchier underdog? It is definitely speaking to us about divide and separate and survival of the fittest. As far as how strong are you and secure? Spirit wanted me to go back to, I tend to, it's not that I put myself down, but I tend to go through and I tell my horror stories or my stories, my wounds, because I'm not ever going to tell you any of my clients is that's just wrong. So I use myself as the way of helping us communicate and understand one another. And I have psoriasis. I had it really, really bad when I was younger. And lately it's kind of been bad again because I'd been so stressed out because mom passed away finally after all of these years of taking care of her and the stress that was going with it. But I used to call my psoriasis on my skin my leopard marks. And I called them my leopard marks or my leopard spots because for the longest time, it was embarrassing. I was uncomfortable. I remember in my 20s when I first got it, somebody was at a swimming pool. I lived in Florida at the time. And somebody was at the swimming pool with their child. I'm trying to get to where I can hold this phone better. And they wouldn't let their child go swimming in the pool because I was in the pool. Because, oh my God, you could possibly catch whatever it was I have. Of course, they didn't know what it was. They didn't understand. And they were just more small-minded, shallow-minded. And But that was horrifyingly upsetting to me. Now, I'm a Leo. Whether we like it or not, Leos get attention. We're full of drama. We get attention. And I mean, we're ruled by the sun. So whether it's illuminating positive or negatively, you're getting the sun all up in your face. And as I've grown older, I mean, hello, look at this big poofy woof of hair. I've learned to grow into myself and truly not give a fuck, excuse my language, but what anybody thinks of me, says of me, or anything like that. I'm who I am, and I don't need their opinion or their approval. But there are so many people who say that but still don't fully believe it. Even today, when I was, like I said, Black Friday, I stopped in because I want to get ribbons so I can tie down my dreads and make them thin and start making them the way that I originally planned on them being. And it just happened to be that I worked all of Thanksgiving because my mom recently passed away and I don't have no family, so there's no point. Might as well get some overtime. And I went into the morning to get the ribbons and stuff to do that. And I hear somebody as I'm walking by. And what it was is it's not even that it hurt my feelings. It was the fact that you don't have the audacity to say it to me. You say it behind my back to what? Make you feel better? They were like, I thought Halloween was over. And I was like, really? I'm like, see, that's part of the problem. We have been indoctrinated and taught right from wrong, and right from wrong is not right. We have been taught that this is how we raise our children. We have been taught, such poor behavior of how we treat one another. We pick on one another. We divide and conquer and separate by smushing one another. And that's what the system has always wanted. We're learning how to, that's why I call it break the cage, break the system. But in order for us to break the system, we have to break ourselves from the system and understand where we're still holding on to little parts of our own indoctrination and how we separate ourselves from that system and get into our spiritual and higher journeys. This Mercury retrograde is all over your self-worth, your self-value, what you value. Are you in your source or are you in your ego? Hebrew, are you in the higher waters or are you in the lower waters of divine energy? But this week has such wonderful energy of purposeful genius manifestation. But here's the key. Like I said, you're coming into the holidays. You're coming through the holidays. The next ones are Christmas and Christmas Eve here in the United States. And those who are not very secure or who are alone, this is one of the worst times of the year for them. This is one of the times where being alone just feels so much more alone. And this is the time you're supposed to be more loving and helpful, but it's undermined with grinchiness that we've been taught. It's undermined with the underdog and muchierness of anything but. And I say that because as I was going into work last night, the song Sweet Dreams it came on the radio, and it was like they grabbed my heart and was like, listen, and sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? I travel the world in the 7 seas. Everybody is looking for something. But what really grabbed my heart is some of them want to use you. Some of them want to be used by you. Some of them want to abuse you. Some of them want to be abused by you. And that's what Spirit was really directing me at, is it's everywhere. We're still breaking that cage. We're still breaking that mindset. We're still breaking, the 3-dimensional mind fuck of what we were taught is the way and respect ourselves. This is where they get into, I don't know how many therapies. It's not just spiritual healing. It's not just, Reiki or anything else. Or religion. It's people you hear through counseling. Go back and talk to that inner child and the bruised ego. And shamans are big on saying, when did it die? When did the spirit of you die? When did you lose it along the way? When did it get stuck in the indoctrination and you're not comfortable anymore? When did the world start beating you down and you started believing it and accepting it? Where is the bruised ego of that inner child? But see, I don't think it's an inner child. I think it's like your teenager or young adult. I mean, to me, the child, your parents, some people did not have, the loving families, or I had a very good loving family on that level, but some didn't have the loving family that, took care of them and everything. I didn't have to start making real decisions for myself until I was older, until I was a teenager, starting to decide, what cliques I was in, who I was dating, where I wanted to work, what decisions I wanted to make, where I wanted to go, who I would be associated with, what was I being interested in, da 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 da. And then as you grow up and you start taking on the world, and when the world dishes it back sometimes, where is that bruised ego of that 22-year-old who is still vivid, willing to take on the world and go out and conquer and show them, just like I am here today with my big poofy hair? I don't give a fuck. I am me. Hear me roar. I am ready to show the world I am here and who I am. But I'm not trying to do it from an ego perspective, because I'm doing it because that's my muchierness. I can't be confined in four little walls in a cubicle. Your energy is so big. How much of it are you truly discovering and embracing versus still following the system and society and doing it exactly the way they told you? I said that because when I was given that sweet dreams, I was not given a good feeling. And I feel like that's some more stuff that you're going to see coming from the government, coming from changes and forcing new regulations or stuff and whatnot. And you are talking about the presidency changing. So there's major changes coming. Like I said, with Pluto going into Aquarius and finally making its 20-year stay. But right now, this week, this month, up through the next couple weeks, this is all about your divinity and knowing it, your self-value, your self-worth, your self-esteem, and owning it and wanting it and knowing it. Give me just a second as I start pulling up information to talk about here as I get into the astrology itself. Because, I mean, you're getting into how much do you value yourself? Do you value the almighty penny? Is it what drives you? If you're watching the show or listening to the show, most likely it does not. But there are still so many out there that it does. And you're still going to have to interact with them, at least on a three-dimensional level, even if they're background characters. And how are you allowing that to affect you? This is going so much deeper than just ego and soul. It's investigating what gives us value, what we value within ourselves. Are we giving ourselves the approval and acceptance to be muchier, to be that light being, to find it within you, to believe in you. Like I said, how secure is your temple? You have, I'm going to get onto the body here for a minute. On the blueprint. Sorry, I was getting a little bit of a dry throat. You have the North Node, which is literally sitting on the parts of the brain that deal with your balance, your motor skills, your ability to have movement. The North Node is everything you need to know in order to move forward. It is in Aries, which places it in the brain. This is actually being able to have your motor skills, to have balance, to be able to think and use it, and not just balance your life, but be in control. Let me just skip that. What I'm trying to say is when it's working with the Chiron in Aries is on the part of the brain that literally connects the left and right hemisphere. So this is the connection point to the conversation as to what the brain is connecting and then how it is affecting the motor skills. And everything, I've said it before, everything in the blueprint goes straight down from the brain to the occipital, that backdoor chakra of the occipital, the zeal point, hooks onto the spinal cord, goes down the spine and hooks into every single chakra. You are sending conversations about your motor skills, your balance, your coordination, about how it is you are ingesting the energies you are seeing and hearing, along with the conversation of left and right brain. Left wing, right wing. Whether it is fight or flight. But where spirit is really directing me to, and it's been here for a little while and it's still going to be here for a little while, but spirit really directed me this week, and apparently somebody really needs to hear it, to Uranus. Uranus is in Taurus. And when they give me Taurus with Uranus being there, they're giving it to me with a great big green heart, meaning this is for your heart chakra, for you to help love yourself. Uranus is independence, individuality, uniqueness, freedom. But in Taurus, it's not very comfortable. Here in the body, it is literally sitting on the jaw. Now, Spirit pointed out tetanus shots and lockjaw. And I was like, what? Really? Really? We're going that way? And what they were trying to show me was, I guess a lot of people are having problems with jaws and ear, which could be grinding the teeth, which could be arthritis, which could be sinus infections, a swelling of the throat, swallowing, sleep apnea, stress. All of this can be things that build up on lockjaw. Now, you may not be actually dealing with lockjaw itself, but that's where they were sending me from tetanus shots to that direction, because you don't realize how much your jaws, your breathing, your talking, you're being able to use that, and how it is connected to your throat chakra and being able to speak of your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem. And do you believe in it? Expressing it. Expressing it is through words, but it's also through how we hear things, how we see things. Expression is so many things. This is why it goes all the way back to your Chiron, the wounded healer, and how it is connecting with the left and right brain, how it is connecting with fight or flight, how it is connecting with material world, three-dimensional world, and or higher dimensions and creativity. Are you creative within your energy? Because this week has an explosive amount of creative manifestation to help you get in your positive energy if you know how to dust off the funk, to believe in yourself and to talk yourself up and not get caught up in everybody else's drama. And you're in between the holidays, the hustle and bustle, and the Mercury retrograde, where it's like word vomit and people say just mean and cruel shit from time to time. It comes out. You're going to be seeing people for what they are because their freaking mouth won't be able to keep it shut, which is what form is good. Like I said, you're going to see the true Jekyll and Hyde. This is all about expression of self, expression of who you are. And the jaw has a lot to do with holding on to stress that's going on in that throat chakra. Jupiter is on the kidneys and the ribs, is actually considered part of the Bright's disease. So we're talking about literally your sacral chakra, not sacral, your solar plexus, speaking to your communication with your relationship with yourself, as well as your relationship with everyone else, from your throat chakra straight to your sacral chakra. And what's in between there? Hello, the heart. The heart is what's trying to, when you do your meditation, guys, I don't know how many times I got to remind people when we sit back, we try to do meditation. Some days the mind just does not know how to shut up. It's rapid. I've got to pay this bill. I've got to do this. I got to take Johnny to, football practice. I've got to pick up Betsy from blah, 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 blah. Oh my God. La, 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 la. Shut up, brain. Some days that meditation is literally reminding your communication inside of yourself. Whoa. This is a chance for you to calm down. You do not have to be in control anymore. You do not have to read and be, like I said, in control. This is a chance for the heart to have its moment of communication and to send in the messages that I need from soul, not listening to ego and the three-dimensional. It's important that you stop and you pamper yourself right now. Highly important that you're giving yourself that. Mars is in the heart. Your inner warrior, your inner SWAT team, your inner belly dancer, where you have confidence and courage and feel good in your own skin. Your heart is telling you who you're attached to, what you're a part of, what you're communicating with yourself. And the sun and Mercury is going to illuminate the shit out of everything. Not to mention, you've got a new moon showing you the error of our ways. And the funny part is, I say it's survival of the fittest, but what really spirit gives me is a compass. Spirit has given me a compass that's pointing at all the negatives, showing you all the negatives where it's ego and where it's not soul. In fact, if you really want to go there, they're showing me a clip from Vampire Diaries, and they're pointing it at the vampires from one of the shows. But it's the compass. It's your inner compass and knowing how to listen to it versus bruised ego. Bruised ego is still telling us, how we have to, how to continue to live with the way you were taught, finding out that all of that is freaking lies. And the way you were raised for the hive mind mentality versus soulfully accepting yourself, finding your muchierness. It's your light, something that can't be taken away. Your warrior is the heart. It's the lion heart. In some cases, I've called it the dragon heart. Knowing when the heart is still giving you unconditional love because you're seeing it from the higher perspective versus everything of attachment that is ego. Everything of stroking your own back and making yourself feel good. Like I said, Mercury retrograde. We get into things in negative ways. We get self-centered at this point in time. Not to mention Lilith and Vista are also on the kidneys as well as the adrenal arteries. So it's trying to remove waste from the relationship zone of still holding on to old, bad, funky energy that no longer serves us as we come into the new year. Now, the sun and Mercury, like I said, are going to be crossing. I think it's between 13 and 15 degrees. But you have, where's my other piece of paper here? Did I really lose one? You have Venus this week, which is having, oh, I'm stepping on it. We have Venus this week, which is speaking directly with the North Node in sextiles. This is positive energy. It is speaking directly with the North Node and Neptune and Nessus, the first and the 12th house. Venus is in that Capricorn. It's in the 10th house. Honor, reputation, prestige, how you see yourself versus how you believe the world sees you or how you've projected yourself. Like I said, look at me, for those of you. Some people are still looking for, high society means that you have done a good job and you've been successful in life. And which I've had people who look at me and because they're still small-minded or shallow-minded and automatically assume, like I said, I'm a Leo. I'm going to bring the light. I'm going to bring it right to your face, whether you like it or not. I'm going to come out and I'm going to be like, yeah, hello. See me for what I am. And if they can't, it shows me who they are. This is the compass I'm talking about. The compass that spirit is going to find a way, your higher self, your source is going to find a way of helping you see, the higher perspectives of the right people, the right tribes versus the ones that are still in your life. And you need to open your eyes and acknowledge that. It's sextiles in a positive way, but it's going over Neptune and Nessus. Nessus is the curse, which means it has to illuminate it. Venus is sensitivity, guys. Venus is not love. Venus is speaking to you about what's good for you and what has harmed you and helping you to understand it in the 9th house at 29 degrees. It is going, yo, I want to make sure to make this as uncomfortable as possible so that you know it, or completely loving it and feeling comfortable so that you know it. Venus also represents Taurus, which is your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem. This is possession of yourself or being taken advantage of and being naive. Jupiter and Chiron are also in a sextile, abundantly communicating the wounded healer what it needs to learn about its character. And I say it that way because while you are still here, ultimately, your soul, your source energy, your light is still in this vessel. It's still playing this character here on this three-dimensional program. So what is this character doing? How is this character? How are you in this space, in this energy, in this body doing? It's speaking to the wounded healer, which automatically means there's something here about you that can get better, that can heal, that can be better. Identifying, what are you identifying yourself with in your own communication? Hold on a second. Sorry, guys, I needed to have a drink. Really sore throat. Dry throat. But you have major positive creative manifestation energy that is working for you this week. Speaking to that inner genius, that inner source, that inner understanding of all the Saturn in that 12th house is speaking to Mars in the heart chakra in the 5th house of your creativity, with Lilith and Vista in the 7th house. This is all about the relationship you have with yourself, about what needs to change, rules, laws, and boundaries, seeing your skeletons in the closet, loving yourself clean, loving yourself ballsy, loving your muchierness, exploring it, and finding out what and where and what parts of you you're not loving of yourself. What parts are still the skeletons in the closet that we have to still pull out and explore so we can truly get back to us. That's really the deepest part of the cleaning here. But you have another very powerful energy, which is Uranus in that 2nd house, your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, your liberation or lack thereof it. Again, speaking to Lilith and Vista, the keys to the home and the hearth, the keys to your inner power, your Lilith who can touch base with ego without necessarily trampling into it. They can see the ego, can understand it, and balance that shit in the relationship zone. And where does it go? Again, to Mars, in the heart. Fire on fire, creativity, creating a new you, creating that muchierness to come into spark and into existence. But you better believe that others know how to use that too. Just as I was saying in the beginning, sweet dreams are made of these. Some of them want to use you, and some of them want to abuse you. And it is the holiday season. So it's about also being smart and intelligent and knowing how to use it properly. It's all about understanding the relationship that's taking on with your body, with your heart, with your soul, with your ego. And remember, it's all just an experience. So what are we attaching ourselves to and why? We're so much more than any attachment. We are muchier. Just like in Alice in Wonderland. She had to find her muchierness. That's what we're all after. I love you guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.